Turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Hey everybody, welcome to Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. I'm here today with a special guest, executive producer of Rev3 Games and gamer extraordinaire, Adam Sessler. Adam, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, this is my pleasure. We're talking about things that I love to talk about, the things that we're not supposed to be talking about.
Oh yeah, oh good, okay,
yeah,
you are in the right show.
Yes, this is the right show.
All right, so I've got to ask you, because you are in and of the gaming world. You're to the point where you know about stuff probably before you can even tell people about it.
Yeah, sometimes that is the case.
Don't worry, I'm not going to call you out on it. But so I've got to ask, on behalf of a lot of our viewers out here are gamers, what do you think it is about conspiracy theories that gamers love?
This is a question that it's plagued me, and ever since I started kind of doing more internet than television, you know, that level of interaction with the audience has become so much greater. I've really noticed it, that when a company presents something as like, hey, we're working on this game, or we have this new thing we're putting in our console, or here's our new policy, it can't be just what it is. There has to be some underlying motive, some agenda, and there really is. There is a sense that everything is conspiratorial to the point that people don't notice it as a conspiracy. It's just kind of a given that there is some subterranean motive that is actually, you know, sort of running everything in games. And obviously, this is at its highest point now because we're on the cusp of having 2 new consoles launched, and so there's a lot of marketing messaging coming from Sony and Microsoft, and especially in the case of Microsoft. You know, they had certain policies, and everyone just saw an intent in that was evil, and it just blew up the internet.
I've heard that called Orwellian, the things that Xbox One is going to do. Now, can you speak to any of that? The idea that it has to check in online once. It had to check in
once every 24 hours online. The other one, and this is no longer true. Actually, they actually reversed on these policies. The other big one is that it wouldn't allow for used games to be played, or at the very least, that it was up to the publisher of said game to allow for the used games to be played on the console. It was all of these things that seemed to have some noxious intent. And you know what? I don't know what their intention was, but what kept on striking me is, why can't it just be a bad idea?
Oh yeah, why can't
you know, it was obviously it implied the idea of digital rights management, which people get very up in arms about. The idea that there was almost a given right to have access to used games, which I understand the desire to have access to used games. It actually isn't a right there. It is property that is owned by the owner of the IP, which is the publisher. It really did kind of get everyone sort of, oh, there's evil. It reminded me of the old days back in the 90s when Microsoft really had this reputation of trying to sneak into people's homes, and it was taking things. Even the Kinect it was supposed to always be on, had to always be connected to the console, and people saw that as an opportunity to be spied on by Microsoft, because everyone is so fascinating. Microsoft needs to know what they're doing.
Microsoft needs to be in your living room to figure out what brand of snack cracker that is.
And you know, but you can see sort of precedents to this in sort of sneaky marketing campaigns.
Sure.
You know, where they're trying to tease people out. There was a famous one for Halo called I Love Bees, which really no one could figure out exactly if this was kind of a viral marketing campaign for Halo or not, and people have sort of studied it over time, and it got people excited, and maybe that's one of the reasons that people in general tend to look at stuff with the video game industry as not being representative of what they purport to be saying.
I think I see what you're saying, and then also, you know, with concerns about data mining, this stuff could make sense as well.
There's even thoughts now that perhaps the Kinect will watch and like scan your face as you're watching television and the ads, and you could sell that information to various advertisers out there. It's all feasible, but at times it's just you almost compliment these corporations too much in terms of their evil intent. I think they probably have ineptitude on the level of you or I, and in these scenarios, it almost raises itself to Bond villain status.
Yeah, I picture Bill Gates with a cat. You know, just stroking it.
We kind of like, ooh.
All right, so what is one of the craziest things that a gamer has ever asked you?
Well, there's one that happened recently. He asked me if I actually played the games.
Really? Wait, do people?
Yeah, I mean, there was an assumption that somehow I had just spent 15 years kind of bluffing it and just reading off of a teleprompter. I thought was so funny is I could actually see asking someone if they went on television and they like kind of researched fecal matter.
Right. Yeah.
But this is video games. It's kind of like, oh, that's kind of a nice kind of collateral damage to this career path, is I have to sit down and enjoy a piece of entertainment.
That is that is a strange thing to ask. I do have to say though, I have some crazy things to ask you. Just a couple
by
more.
all
Is that
means,
okay?
by all means, by
all
all
right.
means.
So we know that in a lot of video games, especially over the past few years, the idea of a conspiratorial thing of some sort or another has been in the plot of a video game.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite examples of that?
I think one of the best, and this goes back probably, goes back to I think the year 2000. Deus Ex. One of the most brilliant role-playing games I think that was ever made. It took place in kind of a near future and really exploited, even those anxieties at the time about the concept of the UN and whether or not it was going to a world government. And you play kind of a cyborgian officer of this international UN authority.
Yeah.
And then, as you will usually see in games of this nature, halfway through, the people you're working for really aren't that good, and that you sort of turn on them. And it's kind of essential for a lot of games that there has to be that sense of conspiracy, because it's not a 2-hour movie. You're talking about something that might be 20 hours long, that you need to have something that has all these different narrative threads that you tie together, because if not, it tends to be like Doom, which is monsters on Mars, kill them.
Which was, in its defense, I enjoyed that game.
Hey, sometimes you just want the purity of please try to live for as long as you can.
We're going to go ahead and get out, because speaking of video games, I just got Grand Theft Auto 5.
Good for you.
Yeah,
what are you doing here? You should be playing that, my good man.
So we're gonna head out. You can check Adam and I's videos here on this side, and you can you can comment. And Adam, if people have questions about video game conspiracy theories, can I pass them on to you?
Pass them on, and they're happening right there.
There they
you
are.
don't say video game and conspiracy without, getting a reaction.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.